Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The messages of inspiration and hope is proudly brought to you today by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. And right now, I'd like for everyone to just take a good deep breath and see if you can smell this. You know what that is? Donna, tell them what that smell is.
Fresh baked brownies.
And so after the show, folks, we're all invited over to Donna's house for some fresh baked brownies. I could handle that. How about you?
Absolutely. Brownies and coffee, they go together.
You singing my song, girl. You singing my song now, because I'm a coffeeholic. I love my coffee.
Oh, I do too. I'm actually kind of weird about what kind of coffee I buy.
I hear you. I hear you. I understand that. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about the life of Maya Angelou. And I'm telling you, this lady was a very, very, very special lady. She made a difference.
She did. She impacted. The thing I love about Maya is she impacted everybody. Young, medium age, old, it didn't matter. She impacted everybody's life. Now that is a gift.
It really is, because to be able to talk to young folks and middle-aged folks and older folks and bridge that gap, that's a very special gift that most people don't have that gift.
Correct.
You know? I know some people that's in my age group, and the only people they can relate to is people that were baby boomers, basically.
Okay.
And,
boomer.
Yeah. And then young kids, I mean, one thing that I do admire about the military, you can take a private that's just went into the Army or any branch of the military, and they can communicate with a Korean veteran, a World War II veteran, or even an old Vietnam veteran like me. There's something about that military thing. It just really breaks everything down.
It does.
But Maya had that ability to do that, just that special gift, just naturally, didn't she, Donna?
She did. And it was across the board. I mean, and it didn't matter if she was talking to heads of state or if she was talking to a group of junior high kids. She could pull everybody together with the truth and harmony and peace.
Yeah, it really amazes me, because one of her books she wrote, and I really like the title of it. I'm going to pull it up here off my memory, off my notes here. She says, "I know why the caged bird sings."
Yes.
Ah, man, that title there, I really enjoyed it. I really did. I mean, because goodness, that says it all, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. You know, this woman had, Maya had very humble beginnings and a very difficult life, in some ways, a very tragic life. But what I admire so much about her is her definition of purpose.
Yes. Yes.
She did not let the things in her life, good or bad, stop her, but especially the bad. We get hung up on that. We get hung up on, oh my gosh, woe is me. This has happened. And now I'm going to be a victim to myself. And she did not allow that to happen to her.
No, and she certainly knew what tragedy was. And because she was born in St. Louis, Missouri. Her parents divorced when she was 3, and she and her brother went to live with her grandmother in a little town called Stamps, S-T-A-M-P-S, Stamps, Arkansas. And when she was 8 years of age, she was actually raped by her mother's boyfriend. And when she revealed what happened to her, she saw her uncles kick the guy, beat him to death in front of her.
Yeah, well, he went to prison, and when he got out, that was when they all presume it was her uncle's. It's never, I don't think it's ever been quite.
Oh, okay. That's what the History Channel said, so I better watch out.
Yeah, her uncles, they presumed that it was her uncle's, but the sad part about that, and I have it in my notes, and this, Jim, really hits home to everybody. Bullying, cyberbullying,
Yeah.
in-person bullying. It hits home. It hits home to people who are emotionally abused, obviously physically abused, sexually abused.
Yes.
But her voice in her memoirs in 1969, I find it amazing, Jim, because she was a trailblazer and ahead of her time. Nobody talked about being raped back then. Nobody. You just didn't talk about it. And the unfortunately, because when he got out of prison and then he was subsequently killed afterwards, she had thought, and I quote this, "I thought I had caused his death because my voice was so powerful that it could kill people." This led her to become mute for almost 5 years. Almost 5 years. That she honestly thought that her voice in naming his name was what caused his death, and that she had the power to do that. What a unbelievable burden that that child carried.
Yeah, you think about that, ladies and gentlemen. This little girl was only 8 years of age when that happened.
Right.
So she wasn't much older than that when the guy got out. And then to be burdened with that, to think that just because you said something, you created and caused that person's death.
Correct.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I've known, when I say I've known, I've seen cases where an individual may have been drinking, driving a car, crashing into some innocent people and killing one or two members.
Right.
And what they experienced afterwards, the guilt, the pain. Right. You know, why did I do that? That was a stupid thing for me to do. But the reality of what their actions were, it stabbed them in the heart.
Right.
And that shows you the caliber of people that these people were. And like little Maya, my goodness gracious, she says, she didn't want to hurt anybody.
Right.
And all she did was just tell the truth. And goodness gracious, Donna, I mean, that is a tremendous burden for a child, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. But, you know, she, after she got her voice, she went on to do, obviously, exemplary things. I mean, this woman did not stop. She is the author of more than 30 books, recipient of more than 50 honorary degrees. Before she became a writer, Jim, at age 40, she had many jobs, which included a cook, waitressing. She was a sex worker. She was a dancer. She was a playwright, an actor, editor, a calypso singer, cast member in the opera Porgy and Bess, and she was also San Francisco's first Black female cable conductor.
And think about that, ladies and gentlemen. All of her gifts and talents, she does not start writing till the age of 40.
Correct.
And I mean, you know, some of the folks out there, everybody's got a story in them.
Absolutely.
They really do. And whether your calling is to write the story and share your story with others, because our purpose in life, it really is to be a blessing to others and not to, you know, try to serve yourself, butter your own bread. Donna and I, we've talked a lot about that. We know people that, unfortunately, we do know people that are just interested in what they can get out of you.
Right.
And not necessarily in a negative way. It's just that they're just wanting to, you know, promote themselves and talk about themselves and try to make money. And they're not really focused on how they can be a blessing to you. Because Donna, at your website, donnaguinois.com, you are a professional coach because you've got a lot of skin in the game when it comes to pain. And let me say this here before I turn the mic over to you. And I love your email address when it says Donna's email is high energy right now. Because if you're running on empty and you get up in the morning and you're going like, whoa, 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 can't get the engine going, you need some high energy and you need it right now. So you can just email Donna at highenergyrightnow@gmail.com, but share with them a little bit about why you created DonnaQuinoa.com.
Well, I created it because I was a single mom of 3 children, and about 8 years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And the same day I was diagnosed with that, I was going to see my neurosurgeon to schedule the first of 3 brain surgeries. So I had a horrific aneurysm behind my right eye on the internal right carotid artery. So literally, if it blew and the hospital was across the street from wherever you're sitting, I would not have made it. So in 14 months having that, after that, I couldn't talk, Jim. I couldn't finish a full sentence. I would forget everyday words. My gosh, I was depressed. I was trying to work. At the time, I was working between 80 and 114 hours a week. So it became difficult, and I became depressed. And then I realized I can't live like this anymore. So I dove in and did research and trial and error and tracked it. And I came up with high energy performance coaching because it works. It works. It works for my clients. Understanding where your negative energy is hiding.
Yeah. Pardon me. We've learned quite a bit about that lately. And, you know, Donna, one thing I haven't asked, but when you said it today, I want to ask this question. And that question is, the same day you're going in to have your first brain surgery scheduled, okay? And you were diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I mean, how did you feel? You probably thought, what else can go wrong, right?
Well,
going to Las Vegas and pressing your luck did not come into the picture, right?
No, you know, I cried. I mean, it's
sure.
It can be a life sentence. And I've already before that have 2 other autoimmune diseases. So it was like, oh my goodness, where is this going to take me? And, you know, after I got over the initial shock, and I came to terms with it, one of the things that I feel strongly about in my life, always have, had this discussion even with my father, rest his soul, was that I do not want anyone to feel sorry for me. It does not work for me. Yeah. Feeling sorry for me does not work for me because I don't feel sorry for myself. I look at everything in my life, everything that I've gone through, everything I currently have. I have it because somebody else is not strong enough to take it. And that is one of my core beliefs about carrying the kind of autoimmune diseases I carry. And I do not let it get me down. Yeah. I'm actually better today than I was 8 years ago, and will continue to be better. You know, it's about a positive mental attitude, Jim. It's about understanding what is truly hanging you up in your energy and getting rid of it. Whether it's giving yourself permission to walk away from a job that you absolutely hate, right? That is just draining the lifeblood out of you, or a friend or even a family member who is not living in your integrity space. You have to have permission and courage to walk away and say, I love myself enough to walk away, to not have this in my life.
Yeah, because you got to have that balance of maintaining a sound mental health.
Yes.
With your physical health. They got to be, we had Dr. George Grant on back in February, and that was another fun show.
It was.
Yeah, we laughed a lot on that show, but because he's a funny guy. He talked about how the gut and the heart and the brain have to be in perfect harmony for you to have sound mental health and enjoy a good quality physical health.
Right.
And I never thought about it. Go ahead.
No, it's true. And the thing is that we're all going to have bad days. We're all going to have things that happen to us. But the difference is, Jim, we have to learn how to not live in that space. We can't wallow in it forever, right?
Oh, yeah.
Find it, own it, accept it. You know what? I'm sure we've all had, I know I do, have those days where for no reason you're not angry, but you just don't feel quite right. Like nothing is 100% right. And it's like, okay, I think probably I just need a nap. You know, I just need some downtime, but find that balance in your life.
Yeah, I've been like that too. And I very seldom, I don't ever suffer from being depressed or anything like that, or loneliness. They say you have to have intelligence for that. So that automatically disqualifies me. But there are some times when I just feel like I'm just itching for something to, you know, I don't know. It just seems like just to shove you a little bit. And I've learned, ladies and gentlemen, if I just say stop, take a deep breath and relax, and just think of one thing that you're thankful for. I'm thankful that I survived Vietnam. I served there in 69, 70 when I wasn't supposed to come back. I know that. I'm thankful that I survived Agent Orange when I've lost buddies to that horrible disease. And I'm thankful that I enjoy good health. And when you start giving thanks, and you're truly honest with yourself, what you will find is that your thankfulness list is much longer than the things that aggravate you and set you off.
Right. And it releases endorphins.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And we're talking about the high energy right now. And I just wanted to give you a chance to share with, the folks, because you too have paid a price in your life, just like our guest or the lady we're talking about, Maya. And put her banner back up there, the life of Maya. Is that Angelou? Is that the way you pronounce it?
Angelou.
Yeah. And reading about her story, she was so in step and so in tune. I know she was friends with Dr. Martin Luther King. And ladies and gentlemen, there is one comment that I absolutely love that Dr. Martin Luther King said. And he says, and I'm going to paraphrase this, so if I'm wrong, Donna, help me out here, but he said, don't judge a person by the color of his skin. I don't think he used the word judge, but don't look at the person by the color of their skin, I think is the way he said it, but look at the content of their character.
Right.
He's talking about heart. Right. He's talking about the soul, the spirit, the real you. And, he is so right on that, because my goodness gracious, if everybody just did that, we wouldn't have all these problems that we hear about on the news. And if everybody just, just accepted people for who they were. Absolutely. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that old LLAR system I talk about when I give speeches. The first L, everyone wants to be loved. There's no question about that. And everyone wants to be liked. And the A stands for everybody wants to be appreciated, and the R stands for respect.
Right.
And I owe it to every human being I come in contact with to do my best to show them proper love as a human being. Try and like their positive points and overlook their negative points. We all have good points and bad points. No one's immune. Appreciate the fact that their thinking may be different than my thinking on any subject. But most importantly, my responsibility to them is to show them respect as a human being.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if we just did that simple little thing like that, my goodness gracious.
Well, Jim, if we weren't diverse, how boring would our lives be?
Oh, my goodness gracious. Yes, exactly. Can you imagine all of us being alike?
Right. I think it's fascinating to meet people from, different backgrounds, different they were reared different in different parts of the country or the world. I find it fascinating because, oh my goodness, I have so much to learn from everybody I come in contact with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, you wouldn't believe how many times that, right here on this TV show that Donna's cracked up and laughed at me on live TV. I am not making, see, she's doing it right now. She's probably going to snort any moment now.
No, I'm not going to snort. I'm not going to snort today.
I've made her snort many times on TV.
And then you can't talk, Jim.
I know it. I know it. But most importantly, we like to share a little humor in each show. And the reason why laughter is some of the best medicine you can give yourself. And guess what? If you learn to laugh at yourself, you'll never run out of things to laugh at. That is, at least if you're honest with yourself, number one. Number two is something you can afford. And you cannot afford not to do it. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's totally free.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
totally free. I mean, I laugh at myself so many times during the day that I probably should start my own comedian show.
Yeah. I was talking to a gentleman, a good friend of mine, about, that everybody's got a story in them. And he said, well, he wasn't too sure about writing a book. I said, well, you don't have to. I mean, not everybody has to write a book, but I mean, everybody does have a story in them. And a lot of people will connect with you because of your story. And like a lot of people really connected with Maya because of her story.
Right.
And he asked me if I was going to write a story about my life. And I said, well, sure. And then I just check and see if he's listening to me. I says, and besides that, my life is based on a true story.
Right.
And he kind of like looked at me and said, oh, you rascal, you had me going there for a second. But Maya was a lady that really touched a lot of lives, not only with the many books she wrote, but the actions.
And her poetry. One of the things that I love about the character, the content of her character, of who she was, she tolerated from no one disrespect to anyone else.
Wow. Yeah.
Nobody. She would not tolerate it. She would not tolerate that negative innuendos, those negative out and out wording. She would not tolerate it. And that is so important because, as a high energy coach and more importantly, as just a human being, Jim, when you attack somebody, because maybe you're having a bad day, but you don't know what that other person's going through in life.
That's true.
And you don't know how that's going to land on their heart and in their soul and make them feel. And that is not our job. Our job is to be here to lift everybody we come in contact with up, whether it's a smile. And because, my dad used to say this, honey, give away your smile because somebody else may not have one to give.
Donna, that's so true because as you were saying that, what reminded me back in 1994 when I lost my mother, it was she was supposed to come home that day, and she says, I'm going home on Friday. We thought she meant her earthly home, and she went to her eternal home. But my point being, we found out on Friday night after I came in from, I was up at a convention in Dallas and came home. We had the answer machines in those days. I didn't have a cell phone or pager or anything like that. So I pushed play on the answering machine as my sister Linda, and she says, Jim, we know you're in Dallas, but we'll let you know Mother passed away this morning. That really stopped me in my tracks. So from that point on, I remember we was packed up that night. I said, hey, we're still packed. We got the big Lincoln out there. Let's just hop in that thing and ride. Right. And so we took off. And from there, I remember, thinking about a lot of things as you would at a time like that, driving all night and everything. But what really got me, and we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about how different things affect different people and how you got to be real careful in how you judge someone. I judge myself because I go there to the funeral home. I look at my mother laying in the casket. I've got no feeling at all. Nothing. I'm not sad. I'm just kind of like matter of fact, going through the motions of life. We go to the funeral. I'm still just going through the motions, and then we go to the cemetery to bury my mother. I'm still going through the motions. And I didn't feel sad. And what went through my mind, this was what was killing me and eating me up. But what kind of a son are you? What is wrong with your head? And of course, back then, I mean, I didn't have a high energy coach like Donna or someone to go to. I was dealing with this by myself. And
your body was in shock, and you were trying to, and it was trying to protect you.
yeah, and we come back home, and it was about 3 months later. One of the comments I always made to Elvin, I said, well, you know, I'd be teasing her, of course. I say, you know, you mess with me, I'll pack my bags and go home to mama, you know, just joking with her.
Right.
And I was joking with her, and I made that comment, you mess with me, I'm going to pack my bags. And then it hit me.
Right.
I had to go outside, and I cried like a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And all that time, I'm talking almost 3 months. It was about 3 months. I was praying. It was praying on my mind. What's wrong with you? That was your mother. And I could still see her, my mom, laying in that casket. And I had no feeling. And I thought, what is wrong with you? I mean, you know, it just, it ate me up. So therefore, how that affected me at that point in time, if someone was judging me based on my performance,
right,
and based on what they saw me walk around like, you know, I'm at a, you know, I guess maybe a shop meet or something like that, or some type of flea market or something. I don't know how I looked, but I mean, I wasn't talking to anybody.
Yeah,
I know
you
that.
were more robotic.
Mm-hmm. I was going through the motions.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through the motions.
And that's just a shock issue. That's your body was truly in shock, and you weren't ready to deal with it. And so that is not an uncommon thing. But you know, that's the issue, Jim, is that, dang it, we all go through hard things in our lives. And so honestly, I've said it before, and I'll say it 1,000 more times before I die, that if you can only give somebody a smile, whether it's in the grocery store, or hold a door open for somebody, or help the elderly out with their groceries. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. I've just stopped what I'm doing and helped somebody who looks like they're struggling. Can I please help you put your groceries away?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's the little things, guys, in life that mean the most.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that the truth?
And
you know,
Maya was an example of it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because one of the things that I try to do, in addition to having fun, you know, and I've shared that before, you know, asking if they accept out of state cash and stuff like that. And, but, you know, just say when someone gives you the change there, thank you. Hope you have a nice day. You know, how hard is that?
Right.
And if someone says that to you, don't say, oh, no problem. I mean, come on, say thank you back, or you're welcome, or whatever. But that no problem thing, it has a negative ring to me. Maybe it's one of those personal hangups that I have, but you know, I guess I was brought up to say please and thank you. I really was. And that's just been, you know, branded into my brain. So it's my mother's fault.
Right. Well, you know, there is nothing wrong with having good manners. And I always told my children when they were young, good manners, what? And they heard it so many times that by the time they were just 5, 6 years old, they could finish the sentence for me. I said, good manners, what, you guys? And they say, never go out of style, Mom. And I'm like, exactly. Because you know, those manners may get you the job that somebody else is actually more qualified for, but maybe they don't have good manners. Absolutely.
And you know, Maya was a very instrumental woman. She wasn't afraid to get involved with or take on the civil rights movement at that time, because she wasn't on a personal agenda.
No.
Her mission was to, you know, help everyone come to understand that we're all, come to peace. Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it. In fact, one of Dr. Martin Luther King, he made the comment, true peace is not merely the absence of tension. It is the presence of justice. And justice, if it's fair for all.
Right.
Otherwise, it can't be justice.
And one of Maya's quotes, I love this, is prejudice is a burden that confuses the past, threatens the future, and renders the present inaccessible.
She is so right.
Yes.
Because anytime you're caught up in the negative stuff of life and you're trying to do negative things to negative people, you can never be happy.
No.
I mean, you're going to be miserable because you're giving off negative energy. And the only thing that's going to fill that void or that vacuum is negative energy.
Right.
And there's, so many people, they try to, it's kind of like, putting whipped cream on a cow patty. It's still a cow patty. I mean, you can dress it up and put a cherry on top.
Right.
But I'd rather go over to Donna's house and have brownies after show than have it.
Ladies and coffee.
There we go. I'll bring the coffee, young lady. And I'll tell you right now, we've got to take a little commercial break here. And one of my favorite ladies, you know who I'm going to say, Angel Marie Monticelli. Oh my goodness, she's going to give us a little insight on the 6-minute webinar, our sponsor here. But sincerely, if you need someone to fire up and get energized, whether you got a physical stage or virtual stage, Angel Marie Monticelli is the best I've ever seen.
Yep.
I've seen her in action, ladies and gentlemen, and I endorse this young lady. She's a beautiful young lady. And I tell everybody, when her parents named her Angel, they picked the perfect name for her.
Yes,
so here is Angel Marie Monticelli. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Angel Marie Monticelli with Angel Marie Shines. And I had the pleasure, the honor to go through training for the 6-minute webinar. Oh my gosh, this webinar and how it's structured and how they teach it. Thank you, Speakers Pathway Coalition. Thank you, Don McGrath and the whole team for the 6-minute webinar, because you made it so simple, easy. And the way you lined it out with the outline, I can reproduce it and reproduce it. And I'm already getting the engagement. I'm getting people that are coming back that are saying, oh, I love this webinar that's so short, so to the point, and I love your products and what I'm selling, but then what I'm also, the services that I provide, and I do any of this because I have the framework. So thank you so much to the whole team, because the 6-minute webinar totally rocks. Thank you.
And we're back. That's just a snapshot, and that's a very small snapshot of the true energy she is, because we had her. I was the MC at the Pathway for Vets event up in Colorado Springs back in January 2019. And Angel Marie came on the stage there, and she got everybody up. Everybody was doing the shine on movement and all that. And Bill Heinrich, I didn't know he could dance like that. He had some unique moves, and I got the giggles, and I couldn't keep up with everybody else. I was going yin when everybody else was going yang. But Bill looked like he was doing a cross, something between the Watusi and the Boogaloo. But he was putting his heart into it, and I got the giggles and all that. But I mean, it was a very fun event. It got the energy flowing, got people breathing, and
got them up and moving.
And I'm very happy to say that Angel Marie Monticelli is also going to be working with the E360 TV people here when they put on events, because when you put on an event, you don't want your audience out there looking like they're attending a funeral,
Right.
You want to be energized and be excited about being that. And she does that beautiful job of that. She's a great friend of ours too, isn't she?
Yes, she is. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman.
She really is. And she's overcome a lot of trials in her life too.
Yes, she has.
I really believe that when people become successful, the training ground for them has to be overcoming problems.
Mm-hmm.
Because the most successful people I know, I mean, a lot of them have been through kalam bam wham,
Right.
And, you know, I haven't had a, you know, paved street my whole way either, but you got to have that drive to know what your vision is, to know what your, you know, you got to be enthused. And
Right.
that's one thing that Maya really brought to the party. She was definitely, she believed in what she was doing.
She did. And here's one of her quotes, Jim, that is just fabulous. There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you.
Wow. You got to think about that one a little bit. That's one of those things you got to put down. You know, you got to be like that thinker, you know, that statue or whatever, resting your hand on you.
Does this one? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Because read that again, if you would, please. I want that to soak in good in between my ears.
There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you.
And you know why that is, don't you? Because that untold story inside of you might just be what one person out there needs to hear.
To set them free.
Yes. To say, hey, I mean, how many times have we heard someone say something, you go like, that's what I need to hear. That's what I've been searching for.
Right.
It happens. It happens in everybody's life, especially in your hour of need. That's what's really encouraging. And that's the reason why we love putting on this show, ladies and gentlemen, because the message is of inspiration and hope. Talk about humble beginnings.
Yes.
We were competing with Zoom, you know, having time on Zoom and Facebook Live. And one of our good friends, we met on there, and I got to tell a funny story about Janie. It was her first time on, and she didn't know me or anything like that. She had worked with Tony Robbins and other big people. She's well known. She's very polished young lady. And she knew Zoom and me were not getting along because I got kicked off, and I'm sitting there watching this wheel spin, and I go like, well, I know I don't want to kill everything, because if I got a problem, I don't want to create it for other people's problem, because they came here to deliver their message. So Janie just steps right up to the plate, and she says, well, everybody knows, you know, evidently Jim's got a problem, didn't pay his bill or whatever. And she took over. And ladies and gentlemen, on that show, 3 different times, I get boomeranged out, I come back, I get boomeranged out, I come back. It became a joke. We started laughing about it. I remember telling her, I said, yeah, I'm having to keep running down to the ATM, get some more quarters, because like my pockets are not that big.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, next time I want to take a wheelbarrow.
Right.
But, you know, the message of inspiration and hope, we had some very humble beginnings there. And we were just starting out just to provide something positive, because during those days, we were all scared to death to some degree, at least worried. Because the stories we were getting, people going to be, you'd be, you know, riding down the road and just seeing people drop dead on the sidewalk or something. I mean, it was pitiful for us to be scared that much or be worried that much.
Correct.
And I still want to wonder who is the knucklehead that thought, well, you know, if we're going to die, we better make sure we have enough toilet paper. What are you going to do? Wrap yourself up like a mummy? I mean, I don't know what that had to be a guy.
No,
because
no, it was a female.
You think so?
Oh yeah. I hate to say it, but it was a female.
Oh my goodness gracious. I thought it'd be some guy. It's kind of like, you know, how we wound up with Christmas trees. I think I'm convinced about this. I believe some guy did something wrong, made his wife mad. And he went out, during the wintertime, he went out to find some flowers. They weren't any, because he lived in the country. He said, well, that's a nice, pretty little green tree. And he comes in and he puts it in the house. And then he puts all these little decorations in the house. And the wife comes in. She, Horace, what's a pine tree doing in the living room, for goodness sakes?
It's going to drop all those needles on my clean floor.
That's right. Well, honey, I wanted to get us some flowers and say I'm sorry, make up to you, you know. And so, oh my goodness. Oh yeah. But you know, that humble beginning and the struggles we had is what led us here today. And you know, Donna, We are so fortunate.
We're
And
blessed.
I want to give a shout out to all the folks that watch us on Roku. Thank you.
Yes.
To all the folks that watch us on Amazon Fire. Thank you. Android. Thank you. On your computer, your laptop, your cell phone. Thank you so much.
On
If you're
Facebook.
Facebook Live, YouTube, wherever you're watching us at, thank you so very much. And we hope and pray that we will always deliver some good quality information for you. And we humbly ask, when we have a show on there, it really resonates with you and you know someone that could use what we're covering and what we're talking about, please share the show with them. We would greatly appreciate that.
Pass anything along that will help someone else.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why we're here. Because I'm proof we're not here for our good looks. Now, I can say that, but Donna can't. She's here, with her good looks. I left mine in the closet somewhere. Or either I lost them or never had them. I forget which way it went. But anyway.
Jim, you're so silly. You're so silly. One of the things that, we talked about giving people hope. And that was a lot of Maya's behind her. She wanted everybody to have peace and to find that commonality of humanity and love. And one of her quotes, I think is beautiful. And I think it's something each and every one of us can live by. Love recognizes no barriers. It jumps hurdles, leaps fences, penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope.
Absolutely. Because we're born in... Go ahead.
Goosebumps. I have goosebumps, Jim.
I like that, the way she put it, because when we're born in this world, we come into a world and we're born in the survival mode.
Right.
We really are. And to be able to say, okay, no matter what's going on in my life right now, I'm at the perfect place for me because I'm going to release this. I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to let it consume me. I'm not going to let it worry me. I'm not going to let it bother me. Because I'm going to make a change in my life. I'm going to go in a new direction. And I'm going to love myself first. And I can love others. And when you do that, you're in tune with the vibration of the universe.
The energy.
Yes. The energy. Because love and energy.
Of energy throughout the universe.
Because love and energy is what life is all about. Being in the survival mode and being in a negative frame of mind, that does not lead to a comfortable life at all. It really doesn't.
No. And, Maya was the absolute definition of that, Jim.
Yes, she was.
She didn't live in survival mode. She thrived because of her trials and tribulations. And didn't hide anything about her past, because here's the thing. It's who we are. It's who we are. It's not an everyday conversation. I talk about my brain surgeries. I don't do that in just a normal everyday conversation. But when it's pertinent, and I think it can help somebody, because I understand what it's like to be sick. And I understand what it's like to have parents who are aging and desperately ill. I, went through that with both my parents. So that affects our energy. And instead of getting, angry, show love, show compassion. Maya was a extreme example of that. And it didn't matter who she was with. Everybody was treated pretty much like royalty because they were royal to her. They were royal to being a human being on this planet.
You're exactly right. And the way that she lived her life, she lived what she preached.
Yes, she did.
Think about that. A lot of people are phony. A lot of people are saying, it's kind of like the old saying, don't do as I say and don't do as I do, which is a disconnect. But Maya was a lady that really, like Donna said, she was honest about all the things she did, good and bad, including being pregnant at 16, dabbling around with drugs, and a little bit of, prostitution and being a dancer at a men's club or whatever. But that was part of who she was. That helped make her into desire to become the person that she was.
Right.
Because where she was back then certainly
was she had to work with.
Yeah, but it was not the end of her journey.
No.
By a long shot. So where you are right now, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what kind of pain or problems or trouble you may be in, take a deep breath and relax and say, I'm going to love myself. I'm going to just say I'm sorry whenever, if I've hurt somebody or try to make amends, let it go.
Learn from your defeat.
Yes, if you don't do that, it's going to continue to be like a shackle on your ankle, dragging up ball behind you every step you go down the pathway of life. And you have the power right now to unlock that shackle.
You do. You
and
do.
Set yourself free. Yeah, you can. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done.
Well, that type of negative energy, first and foremost, you have to forgive yourself before you forgive anybody else. And when you do that, it sets you free, and it opens you up, your heart and your whole being, right? It really truly sets you free.
Yeah, because in my past, I've had people that's wronged me, and if they just got the courage to come to me like a human, I mean, not like a human being, but as we say, as like a man or whatever, if they just got the courage to be honest with me,
step up
and just say, I want to apologize and I want to make amends, and let's go on and drive on. I'm open to that, because I'll tell you why. If I refuse that, listen up, folks. If I refuse that, I've not only harmed that individual, but I've really harmed myself.
Right.
Think about that. Let that soak in between your ears. Think about that. Because if someone is truly sorry and they want to make amends, and I'm not going to, you hurt my feelings, or you made me mad, or whatever, you're setting yourself up for a lot of problems in your life. And if you're the individual that's trying to apologize to the individual and they don't want to accept it or whatever, let it go.
Right.
Because
then
now
that's their problem. Correct.
Yeah, that's their problem now. They're out of balance with the universe. They're going to be miserable. You've just set yourself free.
Right.
Don't ever forget
like a washing machine, Jim, when you put in too many towels, and it puts the drum inside when it's spinning, and it puts it out of balance. It's the same effect. Yeah,
you're exactly right.
It's the same.
We had an old washing machine one time, and when you said that, I mean, if that thing had a washcloth on one side to me, that thing would go all the way across the floor, and you'd be trying to catch it. It's kind of like trying to, I ain't going to say that, but shall we dance here? I mean, hang on here, Anyway, don't visualize that. But that thing would blah, 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 all over the floor. I'm thinking, is that thing possessed or what? It just it was very, very sensitive on its balance. And of course it was I think it came over on a Mayflower as an old one. And it just goes to show how no matter how old you are, you can still move.
But I think this is amazing, because this is so much what this beautiful woman lived with. She acknowledged and lived with everything that's happened to her, everything she did in life. And yet one of her quotes that we can all learn from, and I love quotes because I think they're easier to remember than, a book. But my mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style.
Wouldn't you love to sit down and have a conversation with that beautiful lady?
Wouldn't you? Oh my goodness. The things that I could learn. I could learn.
Just listening to her wisdom. I mean, you could just see the vibration, the joy and the jubilee. I mean, goodness gracious. And have Donna serving us brownies and coffee. My goodness gracious. I mean, That'd be like the cat's meow. Yeah, that'd be like the cat's meow. It wouldn't get any better than that, would it?
Well, hopefully my kittens aren't meowing too loud right now.
Well, I'm just thankful that the rain is let up today, because we had 2 inches of rain during during 1 hour, and of course the rain was coming back, and then the wind was picking up, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, because as soft as the ground is here, you know, the wind blowing like that, we could topple some more oak trees and tear down the power lines, and then Donna would be by herself here, because she'd be safe out there in Arizona, as I like to say. But when you talk about, you know, one of the things that Maya had, and it attracted a lot of people, and this is something that you need in your life, regardless what your calling is, as you walk down the pathway of life, you've got to have a pleasing personality. I mean, she had it. Mm-hmm. She attracted people.
She attracted people like flies to honey.
Yeah, she was kind of like a Mother Teresa in a way, because when they went to her, they knew exactly what she was going to share with them.
Mm-hmm. And she shared her heart.
Yes.
She shared her heart. And it is such a beautiful thing that we can celebrate Maya Angelou today, Jim, because if we were more in that mindset as a whole, and I mean as a whole of humanity, what a better place we would be. This woman was a living example of beauty, of tragedy, of triumph, of humor, and of wisdom, but most of all, of love. Mm-hmm.
She lived her life to the fullest.
Yes, she did.
She said, you know, she didn't try to hide anything. She was honest with herself.
Right.
Donna, how important is it to be honest with yourself? You know, that's kind of tough sometimes, ain't it?
Yes, it is. But you know, if you're honest with yourself.
Now, wait a minute. I'm not as bad as them people over there now. You know?
Right. But if you're not honest with yourself, it's hard to get up in the morning, and it's really hard to go to bed and put your head on the pillow at night, because when you're not honest with yourself, whatever is not working in your life is what's gnawing at you.
You're exactly right. You live the life of a pretender.
Yes.
And you can never be happy.
You're living the life of a player or a poser.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true, because, you know, it just amazes me how you can pretend and you can, you know, fake out a lot of people, but you can't kid yourself.
No.
That's when the chickens come home to roost. And you're going to make mistakes in life. You're going to, you know, you're going to do some things that if everybody knew all the mistakes I'd make, they think, wow, what's wrong with him? He should know better than that.
Right. But that's called going back to learning from defeat, you know, learning from our mistakes, learning from that, you know, going down that fork in the road, and really, you know, you should have went right and you decided to turn left, and the left side wasn't so good. So now you've got to backtrack and then get it square in the center so you can go down the right road path. Yeah.
And the turning point in that, just say, okay, I was wrong. I made a mistake and I should have known better. And forgive yourself and then let it go.
Right.
Let it go. It's kind of like, I'm going to take this to the dump.
Right.
And after I dump it, then I'm going to get back on the other side of the fork. And we're going to be like Shania Twain. We're out of here, you know.
Oh, you know, I would like, Jim, if I could, just for a quick second, give anybody out there who's listening a little exercise that's really easy to do, but very therapeutic. So you write down on a piece of paper whatever is gnawing at you, right? Whatever it is that is not good and that's just really turning your tummy a little bit. Write it down, read it out loud 3 times to yourself, and then take it, and obviously in a safe place, in a fire pit or something, and then burn it. And then it's gone. Then it's gone. It's a very good exercise to get rid of something that you're carrying with you too long.
Just like when you write it out, you're bringing it out.
And then when you say it,
Three times.
Mhm.
There's something about that number 3, isn't there?
Yeah. And then you say, okay, and then release it. And then you burn it.
Mm. Yeah. Because when you throw it into the fire, that's very final.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about fire, I mean, when you throw something in the fire, it's, that's
It'll be
final.
hard to retrieve it.
Yeah. I've never seen a 2 before say the fire's too hot and jump out, But, it's just that I like that. I really, truly do. So take you a piece of paper or in my case, get out a scroll,
Mhm.
write everything down that's gnawing at you. Say
Right.
it 3 times in a place that's private.
Right.
And then throw it into the fire.
Mm-hmm. And for you mama and daddies out there who got youngins still at home, if they're having a really bad nightmare, you can do the same thing with them.
Wow. I like that, Donna. I really do.
You can help them get rid of that, whatever it is that's that nightmare, and it helps them. It helps them to identify it and release it. And by having that finality to it, that they feel safe, and that especially when they're with their mama and their daddy.
Wow, that's really amazing. I like that. I really like that because I see the finality in that, because that's what's important whenever you're, you want to get something out of your life. You want to go away permanently.
Right.
And Donna's email is highenergyrightnow@gmail.com. So if she just shared that tidbit of wisdom with us, imagine when you talk to her and you get the energy flowing between you and her, she just might be, I'm convinced she's going to sing your song because I know her. I've known her for years. And her website is donnaguinois.com. But everybody can remember her email address. I mean, highenergyrightnow@gmail.com. I mean, even if you're slow in the ears like an old country boy that I am, I mean, that's not hard to shift that gear and get it up to high. You know what I mean? Because with Donna, I mean, she is a high energy coach, and I've seen her in action. I've seen her speak at events. In fact, I spoke at one of her events first time I met her, and or maybe the second time, but I went over to her event and spoke. And that's when we found, kind of started to know each other. And that's been about 3 years ago, 3.5, something like that.
Coming up 4, Jim. I think it's coming up 4.
Wow. Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
I know.
And we're already out of it. We're almost about ready to wind up this show today, but
I know.
My goodness.
And I just want to thank everybody for journeying with us today and exploring Maya Angelou and celebrating her life and what a tremendous woman she was. She was as much for women rights as she was for men rights. She was just about humanity and being good and kind and doing the right thing at all times.
You're exactly right. And the thing that I love about her is that, she was the same for men, women, black or white, made no difference because we're all human beings. And her book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Oh, my goodness gracious. I love that title. It's love awesome. That title. Because that was a good description of her life, because for many years, especially in her younger life, she, she felt kind of trapped, but she still was able to sing her song. So if you're out there and you feel trapped, just remember that Maya wrote a book called I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings.
What's your title?
What's your title?
What's your title? Everybody's got one in them.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's got a good story and everybody's got a good book in them. So most importantly, how can you reach out and help others and touch them in their hour of need? Our time is gone, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for tuning in today, and we hope and pray that you'll share this show with others about Maya, and look up Maya and put her name back up there again, The Life of Maya Angelou. And tremendous lady. If you're looking for a good mentor, she'd be a great place to start. She really would, for man or woman.
Can't go wrong with Maya.
Not at all. And for all you folks tuning in around the world from Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Android TV, Periscope, Twitch, wherever you're seeing us at, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to love yourself first, and then you can love others. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Be good to yourself. And remember to love yourself first. That's priority one. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, folks.